The abarth punto has always lived in the shadows of other more common hot hatches, mainly in part to poor advertising when new. Abarth instead favouring the very much more popular Abarth 500 range. This and little media attention at the time gave way to low production numbers, and some 10 years plus later its existence is rare and underreported. But this is all good news for potential owners looking for something a bit different from the norm and a chance to own a very underrated, rare and good looking hot hatch, backed up by legendary heritage and a community of dedicated enthusiasts on Facebook. So head across to the Abarth Punto Collective group, where you will find a wealth of information, friendly supportive members and a great source of inspiration and community spirit. Also check out my website abarthpunto.co.uk for more in-depth information and guides. So let's move on. You're in the market to buy an Abarth Punto, but which one do you buy? Well, essentially there are two models to consider. The different variants I will come on to a bit later on, but for now you have two choices. The AGP, short for Abarth Grand Punto, was built between 2008 and 2010, and the later facelifted APE, short for Abarth Punto Evo, built between 2010 and 2014. Your choice is obviously going to be governed by budget, with average prices of the AGP between 2 and 6,000 plus, depending of course on mileage condition and various other factors. Again, I will explore this later on in the video. The average prices for the APE are between 4,500 and 12,000 plus, again all depending on condition, mileage and which version you opt for, all of which I will cover in due course. So let's start with the AGP, built from 2008 to 2010, available in just three colours: Speed Red, Scorpion Black or 1949 White, which is a default colour. All produced 155 bhp at 5750 rpm, with a peak torque of 206 Nm arriving at just 3000 rpm. The AGP was fitted with a Sport boost button on the dash. When pressed, this changed the character of the driving experience and performance. Throttle response was lighter and more responsive, and the electronic power steering felt tighter, giving more feedback to the driver. More importantly, peak torque was raised from 206 Nm in normal mode to an impressive 230 Nm in sport mode, all at 1.3 bar from the IHI turbo. The AGP, unlike Abarth models of past, was not just a badged Fiat with a few stickers and add-on spoilers. The Abarth Punto was a re-engineered standalone model from the newly reborn Abarth company, with little technical resemblance to its ancestor, the Fiat Gran Punto. Although it shared the same body shell and a few fittings of course, the AGP was a complete new car. Revised front and rear bumpers, flared arches and side skirts, reminiscent of the Fiat Abarth 130 twin cam. 17-inch diamond cut alloys with 215/45/17 tyres fitted. Stopping power was provided by the instantly recognisable bright red Brembo 4-pot calipers up front, with 305 by 28mm Brembo discs, and rear discs were 264 by 11mm with standard calipers, again in bright red. Underneath featured thicker anti-roll bars and semi-independent rear suspension with stiffer springs. As mentioned, it had the IHI fixed geometry turbo, front-mounted intercooler, larger exhaust and a new 6-speed gearbox, all mated to the famous T-Jet 1.4 twin-cam 16-valve engine. Interior was revised with black Alcantara, bucket seats, electronic boost gauge, access through the trip computer and a chunky steering wheel. So let's move on to options. I'm not going to list every option. If you're interested, these are all listed on my website, abarthpunto.co.uk. I'm instead going to list the most desirable options at the time of production. The first is the pan roof or sky dome. This is a glass panoramic sunroof which slides back at the push of a button. This was a £725 option when new and is sought after even now. The second one, and the least optioned when new, mainly due to the price, was the lighter and much better looking Corsa seats by Sabelt, a whopping £2,250 on top of the list price, and very few AGPs have these, so bonus if you find one with these seats fitted. The red abarth side stripes and red mirror covers were an option for £160 when new. Additional 17-inch twin-spoke alloy wheels were also offered at a price of £175. These were considered winter wheels and were narrower than the standard wheels at only 6.5J as opposed to 7J from the standard wheels. Okay, so I've covered the AGP, and like I said, if you want more information then head across to my website. Plus I also recommend you join the Abarth Punto Collective on Facebook. So you've looked through the classified ads at AGPs and noticed a strange word, esseesse, pronounced esseesse, which means SS in Italian, or short for supersport. Stay with me for this, it gets a little complicated. If your budget allows this, then this is the version you should really aim for. So let me explain. The AGP esseesse is a hotter and even more pumped up version than the AGP, developing 180 bhp instead of the standard 155, but that figure is only half the story. When bought new, the owner had the option of having an esseesse kit fitted. This had to be fitted by the dealer within 12,000 miles or 12 months, whichever was the sooner. Harking back to the 1960s, Carlo Abarth had his modified tuning parts delivered in wooden crates to be fitted prior to racing his old 500s. 40 years later, that tradition has still been upheld, and the esseesse or supersport tuning kit was delivered to the dealers in wooden crates. In fact, these crates are collectible to some owners even now. So what's in this crate? How much does it cost, and what difference does it make? Well, first off, it was available in two parts. The handling kit, called the Assetto Corsa kit, comprised of stiffer springs, lowered by 25mm, drilled and vented Brembo discs front and rear with Ferodo high-performance pads. It also comprised of larger 18-inch multi-spoke esseesse wheels. These were 7.5-inch wide and shod with 215 40 18-inch Pirelli P0 tyres. These were available in either satin silver or gloss white, and today these wheels are not only rare but command a high premium. The second part of the kit was the performance side. This alone comprised of over 90 separate parts in total. The main upgrades were the addition of a larger turbo, the Garrett 1446 instead of the standard IHI, along with revised manifold wastegate, larger free-flowing exhaust, which was now 2.5-inch instead of the standard 2.25-inch, a modified cat, intercooler, map sensors, a BMC free-flow filter, and a remap to 180 bhp. Performance was increased from 155 to 180. Boost pressure was raised from 1.3 to 1.5 bar, but the torque in sport mode was the most impressive, with a rise from 230 Newton meters to a mammoth 272 Newton meters. And this arrived even earlier at 2750 RPM over the standard 3000 RPM. This instantly transformed the car. Along with a comprehensive parts list, you also received a red esseesse badge on the engine cover and a silver one on the tailgate. So what's the cost of this esseesse kit? Well, when new, it cost a whopping £3,370 on top of the list price of £14,707. Once fitted by the dealer, the owner would receive a certificate of elaboration and a stamp in the service book to say the esseesse kit had been fitted. Only around 1 in 3 had the kit fitted, owing to the low numbers of Abarth puntos sold in the UK. Only 366 AGPs were actually sold, and only around 100 of these versions were esseesses. And today, only around 34 esseesses exist on UK roads, making these very desirable and also a future classic. There is one point I would like to make if you decide you want to purchase an esseesse version. First, just because it's advertised as an esseesse, it doesn't mean it is. That's not to say garages and dealers are deceiving you. They have very little knowledge about these cars and assume because it has the esseesse badge on the back, which some owners fitted even on the standard ones, and also sometimes the 18-inch wheels, that it was actually a genuine esseesse version. Be sure to check the service book for the stamp and certificate if the owner still has it. Also, don't be deceived by the sticker on the inside of the door shut, which may say esseesse. These were randomly stuck on at the factory even before the owner had decided to purchase the kit or not. So many of the 155 standard BHP models have this. Mine did. If there is no evidence of a stamp, the other way to tell if it's genuine is to look under the bonnet at the turbo housing. It should say Garrett 1446. If it says IHI, it's not an esseesse. In my next video, I shall be exploring the second generation Abarth Punto, which is the Abarth Punto Evo and its variants.